Hello friends and welcome back. This is Tina from Life in the Piedmont. Today I am making sourdough sandwich bread. This is different than a typical sourdough. This is 2 loaves like sandwich bread and much softer. And right here you can see me measuring out my sourdough starter. I have been working on that since yesterday, getting it active again, and I am doubling this recipe, so I'm using about a cup of my starter, and I'm pouring it into my mixer here and getting everything together. Now I got this recipe from Ruth Ann Zimmerman, and it also came from a gal over at Venison for Dinner, and so somebody had asked me to share this recipe, so I can do that since it is a public thing. To this, I'm adding 1 to 2 tablespoons of honey or sugar. It is your choice what you want. It depends on your sweetener. Now remember, I'm doubling this, so everything I'm putting in is going to be double. And I'll put the recipe down in the description in the bottom of the description, so you can see for that the recipe that makes 1 loaf. Oh my goodness, I got tongue-tied there. I do apologize. So I'm putting in my oil. I use avocado oil. You can use olive oil or a fat of your choice. It is up to you. It's your choice on if you want to use Crisco or whatever it is that you want to use on a fat. I prefer either avocado or olive oil. And then I'm adding water here. The recipe calls for 1 to 1 1/4 cups of water. Now mind you, I'm doubling it, so I'm doing at least 2 to 3 cups of water here. And once I get all my wet ingredients together, so my starter, my salt, honey, the water, I'm going to actually mix that together first. I want to give that a good mix so everything is combined really good before we start adding any of our flour in there. And because I'm doubling this, it's going to call for the recipe calls for 3 to 3.5 cups of white flour. I'm going to use 6. Even when I made a single loaf, I never did quite 3 cups. I always did 2.5 cups to 2 3/4 because I didn't want to over flour, because that's one of the hard things. You can't over flour. You can't pull flour out if you happen to put too much flour in. So, and here I am adding in, I put 6.5 cups of flour in this, and I'm just going to mix that up and start kneading it together in my mixer, and we're going to let that go for just a few minutes as we get our flour added in there. The process of making this bread can be time consuming because you start one day with activating your sourdough. Once you have that activated, then you're going to mix all this together. And you're supposed to put it into the refrigerator to do a slow rise for anywhere between 6 to 8 hours or 12 to 18 hours, depending on the time of the year. I happened to do a summer rise, and last week when I made this, I thought it would be better to add to make this rise a little bit faster. I was testing the dough to see the consistency of it, and it was really still, I think, a little too wet for my liking. The lid doesn't want to stay on, and so I had added some more flour and got it to the consistency that I wanted. The touch, it's by touch, so you don't want it dry, but you don't want it wet either. And here I got it to my consistency, so I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to start kneading it. I floured the surface of my countertop and sprinkled some flour on top of the dough, and I'm really going to start working that in until I get the consistency in the dough that I want once I am done kneading. But yeah, back to this. I will list everything down, but I did a summer rise where I activated and then I let the dough sit 6 to 8 hours in a warm spot to rise. And then once I formed it into the loaves, I let it rise another 2 hours in the loaf pans. And I'm just really working this dough in, getting it to where I need it to be, and I will show you the difference what the consistency is. You want to be able to pull on it. And here I'm gonna, coming up here, I'm gonna show you what it is that the consistency that I like. Have you made bread before? If so, did you have any problems with it? The more that I do this, the better that I get. I think everything just takes practice. So I'm just forming it into a ball here. I know that I like the consistency, the way that it feels, but it's still not perfect. Because watch, when I pull it here, it will pull apart. It's not a smooth ball. You can see that. See how that pulls? I don't want it to do that. This is the consistency here. I've let the dough rise already. And now I'm just pulling it out and just kind of kneading it again. Forming it into a ball. And then what I'll do is I will cut the dough in half. Now you could get a scale out and you can measure so you have like the right pound on each or grams on each side, but I'm just kind of eyeballing it here, putting one away. And now I'm gonna fold this, knead this, and roll it out into a rectangle. You'll see me do that. So here I'm rolling it out. It was later in the night when I was doing this. I got tired. We're rolling it out here, and the directions that I have is like a 6x8 rectangle, and then you're supposed to fold it like an envelope. That one was a little tricky for me when I was first doing this, and so that's kind of how I did it. And I'm just gonna roll it up to make like a log, and then I'll turn it over, and then here I'm just pinching the sides of the doughs together to secure it together. Just pinch it until it stays, and then I will flip it over and put it into my bread pan that I've already greased with a little bit of olive oil. Sorry if you can hear that. That's my dog walking. He came over to say hello. So yeah, there you go. Look at that. It's a beautiful log. I can't wait to show you the finished product. I am going to be making this once a week now because my family just loves it, and it tastes absolutely delicious. I made some French toast the other morning with it, and it was just so good. I'm going to keep making this weekly, and it's one less thing that I'm going to be buying at the store. Since we don't eat a lot of bread in the house, I can do about a week a loaf, and a loaf a week, and it should be okay. This is the second loaf that I'm doing. Same concept, just rolling it over, pinching the sides at the bottom, pinching it together, and putting it in my loaf, and we're going to cover that up, and we're going to let it do another rise for a couple of hours. Now, you could have placed this in the refrigerator all night to do a slow rise, but I wanted to get this done and baked, so I opted to leave it out and let it bake. Or, I'm sorry, to let it rise so I could bake it before I went to bed this night. I just wanted it to be finished. So, I'm letting it rise, and poof, it's done, it's baked, it's delicious. Then I just take a stick of butter as soon as it comes out, and I flip it out of the pan and just rub both loaves with butter just to get it really nice and crunchy on top, and just melt the butter inside the loaf. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. This is a sourdough sandwich bread. I hope that you make it. I will leave everything in the description box below. Be blessed, and we'll see you soon, friends. Bye-bye.